Claressa Shields just did the one thing no self-proclaimed queen of boxing can ever survive. She lost a fight she didn't even get paid for, and she lost it inside her own comment section. Again. And this time, the receipts are so brutal, so documented, so undeniable, that even her most loyal defenders are quietly deleting their replies. Because while Claressa Shields was busy telling the world she's an A-list celebrity, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, the greatest woman of all time, the paperwork was sitting right there telling a completely different story. A $500,000 story. And the comment section found it before her PR team did. Stay locked in, because what you're about to hear is not an opinion piece. This is a documented autopsy of the most online, most bothered, most comment section addicted champion in combat sports history. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Beyoncé doesn't argue with strangers, why Serena Williams doesn't explain her bank account to trolls, and why Claressa Shields simply cannot stop herself. Now, let's set the table properly. Claressa Shields wants the world to address her like royalty. The self-declared GWOAT. The self-declared A-lister. Self-declared, 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 and notice a pattern there, because the only institution that has officially crowned Claressa Shields with most of her favorite titles is Claressa Shields. And that's fine. Confidence is part of boxing. Muhammad Ali declared himself the greatest before the world agreed. But here's the difference, and it's a difference the size of the Grand Canyon. Ali never spent his afternoons in the comment section of a gossip blog calling a nurse from Ohio a broke hater. Ali never threatened to beat up a barista. Ali never typed, "Are you on dope?" at a stranger with 11 followers. Claressa Shields did. Claressa Shields does. Claressa Shields, by all available evidence, cannot go 72 hours without finding a random civilian to fight for free. And understand something, this is not one bad week. This is a lifestyle. Every single time Claressa Shields trends, it's the same cycle. Someone with a profile picture and an opinion types a sentence. Claressa Shields finds it. Claressa Shields responds. Claressa Shields gets ratioed into oblivion. Claressa Shields doubles down. Screenshots fly. Bloggers eat. And the whole internet gathers around to watch a two-time gold medalist get outboxed by people who have never thrown a punch in their lives. She has never won one of these exchanges. Not once. Not a single documented W in the comment section. The only undefeated streak she's protecting is losing arguments to strangers. So let's get into the comments themselves, because this week's meltdown is a masterclass. It started under a post about her fight night earnings. The fight where the athletic commission paperwork, the cold official documents, listed her disclosed purse at $500,000. Now remember that number. Tattoo it on your brain because it's going to matter. A commenter poked at it, comparing her money to other women on the card, clearly trolling, clearly fishing for a reaction. And what does the A-list celebrity do? Does she scroll past? Does she let her legacy speak? No. She jumps in with both fists and declares she made millions. "Are you on dope?" she asked. Millions. Plural. Which means, by the laws of basic mathematics, at least $2 million for one night's work. Now here's where the whole thing collapses like a house of cards in a hurricane. Because the paperwork, the state-filed, publicly available, unemotional paperwork says $500,000. And Claressa Shields has spent months telling every microphone that would hold still that she signed an $8 million multi-fight deal, with $3 million up front. So let's do the math together, slowly, the way she apparently refuses to. $3 million up front leaves $5 million across the remaining fights. If she's making $2 million per fight, the deal is dead after 2.5 fights. If she's making $500,000 disclosed per fight, she's not making millions. Either the contract numbers she bragged about are fiction, or the purse claim she rage-typed in the comments is fiction. Both cannot be true. The math is not mathing, the calculator is filing a restraining order, and Claressa Shields is out here calling other people broke while her own numbers are in a knife fight with each other. And then, because the universe has a sense of humor, another commenter did something truly unforgivable. They asked a reasonable question. They asked why Claressa Shields and another top name wouldn't just fight each other if both were willing to face the same opponent. Fair question. A promotional layup. A chance to talk legacy, belts, money splits. And what did the self-proclaimed role model respond with? Dumbass. That's it. That's the A-list media training on display. The woman who gets on interviews claiming she's built different, claiming she's the face of women's boxing, claiming she deserves Serena Williams' money and Beyoncé reverence, cannot survive a two-sentence question without calling a stranger a dumbass. And then, because one insult is never enough, the champ kept typing, announcing her new weight, dismissing the other fighter as smaller, and throwing in scary ass for seasoning. Hold on. Pump the brakes. Rewind that. Claressa Shields, the same Claressa Shields who reportedly brought a security team to her own grandmother's funeral, is calling other people scary? Let that marinate. A professional fighter. A woman who tells anyone within earshot that she could beat up a male professional boxer. A woman who throws around threats like confetti at a parade. That woman needed a hired security detail at a family funeral, where the biggest physical threat was allegedly her own relatives wanting to pay respects. Who hires security for a funeral? Who looks at a grieving family gathering and thinks, I need muscle for this? You cannot make this up. But somehow, in the Shields cinematic universe, the grandma funeral security bodyguard employer gets to call other fighters scary. The projection is so loud it needs its own sound permit. And while we're on the subject of that funeral, because this detail matters more than any punch she's ever thrown, reports from that day painted a picture that no highlight reel can wash off. Family members saying goodbye to a grandmother. Tension at the door. Security stationed like it was a nightclub entrance instead of a homegoing service. Whatever your feelings about family disputes, and every family has them, the visual of a world champion treating a funeral like a backstage brawl at an awards show told the public everything about the brand. This is what the money can't fix. This is what the belts can't cover. When the cameras are off and the gloves are off, the first instinct is still the same. Escalate, threaten, call for backup. That instinct follows Claressa Shields from the ring to the comment section to, apparently, the front row of a memorial. But let's get back to the money, because the money is where the mythology really dies. Another commenter made a point so clean, so surgical, that there was no honest answer available. Cris Cyborg, a name Claressa Shields treats like a curse word, publicly offered her $2 million to fight. $2 million. Guaranteed. On the table. For a fight that would have been the biggest women's boxing event of the year, maybe the decade. And Claressa Shields, who just finished telling a stranger she's making millions per fight, turned it down to take $500,000 against a different opponent. When the commenter pointed out the obvious, that the Cyborg offer alone was 4 times her disclosed purse, what was the champion's rebuttal? No, I wouldn't have. That's it. No math. No breakdown. No contract logic. Just no, I wouldn't have, from the same mouth that swears she made millions. Explain it then. Walk us through the numbers. Show the work. She can't. She won't. Because the moment Claressa Shields shows the work, the empire of self-proclamation crumbles. It's all vibes and volume. Always has been. And this is the part where her defenders, the loyal battalion of accounts who materialize in every comment section like clockwork, do their signature move. Watch it closely, because it's the same play every time. You say, the purse was $500,000. They say, why are you hating on a black woman? You say, she turned down $2 million. They say, y'all always trying to tear down a sister. You say, she called a stranger a dumbass for asking about a fight. They say, the hate is pathetic. Notice what's missing? An answer. They never address the point. Not once. Not ever. It's a magic trick, a misdirection. Any criticism of Claressa Shields gets instantly rerouted into an accusation about your character, your motives, your politics. And the wildest part? They're defending the honor of a woman who is, at that exact moment, in another comment thread calling somebody's mother bald-headed. She's the only one allowed to talk crazy. She's the only one allowed to threaten. She's the only one allowed to insult. And the second anyone lobs it back, it's a hate crime against the culture. Make it make sense. Now, we have to talk about the flowers. We have to talk about the song. Because this is where the story stops being about boxing and starts being a soap opera that Tyler Perry would reject for being too messy. Claressa Shields posted a video. Sweet moment. Flowers from her man. Relationship goals, right? Except the internet did what the internet does, it listened. And the song playing under the flower video, the soundtrack she personally selected for her big romantic reveal, was a record Papoose's made about his wife, Remy Ma, the woman he is still, as we speak, legally married to. Let me say it plainly so nobody gets lost. The man made a love song for his wife, the marriage is not dissolved, the divorce is not final, and the girlfriend posted herself receiving flowers while the wife's love song played in the background like she was claiming royalties on somebody else's romance. And when a commenter pointed this out, politely, factually, correctly, did she delete the post and log off? No. She jumped in the comments arguing that it's his song. And yes, technically, the song belongs to Papoose's. He made it. About his wife. For his wife. That's kind of the whole point, champ. The commenter wasn't confused about music ownership. The commenter was asking why you, the girlfriend, are soundtracking your flower flex with a ballad dedicated to the woman whose signature is still on the marriage certificate. There was no good answer. There is no good answer. So instead we got deflection, attitude, and another L in the comment section loss column. And while we're in this neighborhood, let's talk about the tattoo. Because the tattoo timeline is the most suspicious piece of body art since someone got no regrets. Claressa Shields got Papoose'S name inked on her first. Bold move. Declaration of permanence. And for a long time, a conspicuously long time, there was no matching ink coming back the other direction. An interviewer even asked Papoose's about it on camera, and if looks could kill, that reporter would have left in a body bag. The man deflected like his life depended on it. Then suddenly, right before her big fight, days before the whole world is watching, boom. Papoose's gets her name tattooed. Magically. Spontaneously. Totally not because Remy Ma had just dropped a diss track and he was getting flamed from every direction and needed a public gesture of loyalty to stabilize the situation. Totally not that. Couples in love usually get tattoos together around the same time as a shared ritual. This wasn't a ritual. This was a rescue mission. And the tragic part is Claressa Shields doesn't seem to see it, or refuses to. She's out here treating a pressure move tattoo like a proposal. Here's the cold reality nobody around her will say out loud. As long as that divorce from Remy Ma stays unsigned, Papoose's has every incentive in the world to keep things exactly as they are. The moment the ink dries on those divorce papers, the countdown starts. The questions start. The expectations start. And a man who had to be publicly shamed into getting a return tattoo is not a man sprinting toward a second marriage. Claressa Shields can fight every stranger on the internet, but she can't fight that math either. Now let's address the career mythology, because this is where the delusion achieves liftoff. In her own telling, Claressa Shields is a crossover A-lister drowning in endorsement deals. She said it herself. The purse doesn't include the endorsements and all that. Okay. Where? Point to them. Serena Williams has Nike. Aya Wilson has a signature shoe. Her name is literally on the sneaker. Simone Biles is on cereal boxes. Where is the Claressa Shields signature shoe? Where is the Claressa Shields Gatorade commercial? Where is the billboard, the campaign, the national ad buy? The only moving merchandise we've seen is her own merch table. That's not an endorsement empire. That's a gift shop. And there's no shame in a merch table. Independent hustle is respectable. Unless you're standing on that merch table announcing you're in the same endorsement tax bracket as Serena. Then it stops being hustle and starts being fan fiction. And that fantasy collided headfirst with reality at the BET Awards, where the Sportswoman of the Year trophy went again to Aya Wilson. A 3-time, 4-time MVP. A champion with her own shoe, her own highlights, her own ratings gravity. And how did Camp Shields respond? Papoose's took to the internet crying robbery, acting like Claressa Shields was cheated out of a trophy by the best player in the WNBA. Robbed? Robbed of what exactly? One fight in 12 months against a hand-picked opponent outweighs an MVP season? This is the entitlement talking. This is what happens when self-proclamation goes unchallenged for years. You start believing awards are owed to you, that popularity contests are conspiracies, that every scorecard you lose was rigged. We've watched Claressa Shields lose awards, lose public opinion battles, lose comment section wars, and every single time the explanation is the same. It's everyone else's fault. Haters, bloggers, the industry, voters, the algorithm. Never the person in the mirror typing dumbass at strangers at 2 in the morning. And the role model claim, we cannot leave without addressing the role model claim. Claressa Shields has said on record that she's a role model. Let's examine the resume of this role model. Threatening civilians online. Name-calling as a first response to fair questions. An altercation where she allegedly put hands on a woman at an event. No apology, no accountability, no "I messed up" statement like every professional athlete is trained to deliver. Instead, she doubled down and reportedly turned the whole incident into a diss track. Read that again. Most athletes make a mistake, apologize, take the fine, move on. Claressa Shields allegedly made a mistake, got in trouble for it, and then monetized the controversy with a song about it. Who is managing this career? Who is in the room when these decisions get made? Who watched her record a diss track about an incident that damaged her reputation and said, "Yes, champ, this is the move," because that person is either a saboteur or a ghost, and either way they shouldn't be on payroll. Here's the deepest irony of all, the one that ties this entire saga into a bow. Claressa Shields once sat in an interview and explained, with a straight face, that she doesn't get bothered by what people say, that she's not like other celebrities, that the noise doesn't reach her. And then she proceeded to build a public record that proves the exact opposite. Hours of comment wars, tearful responses to criticism, threats, call-outs, diss tracks, and security teams at funerals. She is not unbothered. She is the most bothered, unbothered celebrity alive. Beyoncé is not in the comments. Michael Jordan was never in the comments. LeBron James, the most scrutinized athlete of his generation, is not typing paragraphs at anonymous accounts at midnight. Actual A-listers have people for this. Teams, filters, boundaries. The loudest self-proclamation of A-list status in sports belongs to the only self-proclaimed A-lister who acts like a C-list reality star with a Wi-Fi connection and unresolved feelings. And the saddest part, the genuinely frustrating part for anyone who respects the sport, is that underneath all of this noise is a real fighter. The hands are real. The resume inside the ropes is real. 2 Olympic gold medals. Undisputed in multiple divisions. That is not nothing. That is a career most boxers would trade limbs for. And that's exactly what makes this whole spectacle so infuriating. The talent says Hall of Fame. The behavior says comment section hall monitor. Claressa Shields could have let the resume talk. Instead, every achievement arrives with a side of beef, every headline comes with a screenshot, and every victory lap ends with her in somebody's replies arguing about money she can't document. Let's rewind the tape on the championship brand for a second, because the greatness conversation deserves honesty in both directions. Nobody serious denies the in-ring resume. The belts are real. The history is real. But greatness in 2026 is a full-stack product, the performances, the marketability, the public conduct, the math. And that is where the self-coronation keeps hitting a wall she refuses to see. You cannot campaign for GOAT status using metrics you refuse to verify. You cannot demand A-list treatment while delivering comment section conduct. Every legend she name-drops as her peer group, Serena, Beyoncé, Jordan, built the second half of their legend on discipline outside the arena. That is the missing chapter. Not talent, not belts, discipline. And no amount of caps lock replies can substitute for it. And one more pattern you have to clock, because it shows up in every single interview like a fingerprint at a crime scene. Watch what happens the moment Claressa Shields gets asked to explain anything specific. The sentences turn into circles. It didn't happen the way they say it happened. Okay, so how did it happen? It just didn't happen that way. That's not an explanation. That's a screensaver. A real answer has nouns, dates, and numbers. Hers have fog. And she runs the exact same play on the money questions, the fight questions, the relationship questions, loud denial, zero documentation, and then a quick pivot to how blessed and favored she is. Blessed and favored does not appear on a purse slip. Blessings don't change 500,000 into 2 million. The favor is not filed with the athletic commission. Every time the conversation demands one specific verifiable fact, Claressa Shields reaches for adjectives instead of evidence, and her fan base treats the adjectives like exhibits. Let's also pour one out for the business portfolio, because the entrepreneurship chapter deserves its own minute. The endorsement empire we keep hearing about, where is it headquartered? Because from the outside looking in, The visible business operation appears to be hoodies, hats, and sweatsuits sold off the strength of the Fight Week spotlight. And again, respect to independent merch. But you don't get to sell warm-up gear at arena prices and then look into a camera and compare your endorsement portfolio to Serena Williams. Serena walks into rooms Nike built for her. Aya Wilson's shoe sits in stores nationwide. The Claressa Shields business empire, as far as the public record shows, fits in a suitcase. And there's nothing wrong with a suitcase, unless you keep insisting it's a skyscraper. That gap between the claim and the proof is the entire story of this era of her career. Big claims, thin receipts, and a comment section army deployed to scream "hater" at anyone holding a ruler. And the wildest contradiction of all might be the toughness branding colliding with the threat receipts. This is a woman who has publicly floated the idea that she could beat a professional male boxer. Stop. No. There is not a licensed professional male boxer on a sanctioning body's roster that any sane matchmaker approves for that fight, and deep down everyone in boxing knows it, including her. But the fantasy serves a purpose. It keeps the aura inflated, keeps the fans chanting, keeps the narrative that the only reason the world doesn't bow is bias. Meanwhile, the actual application of that toughness is reserved for civilians. Regular people. Commenters. A woman at an event who reportedly caught hands. That's the pattern that should bother her supporters most. The lion act is aimed down, never up. The cyborg fight sits on the table collecting dust at $2 million while the energy gets spent bodying strangers with cartoon avatars. Scary ass? The call is coming from inside the house. So where does it go from here? Does Claressa Shields finally take the cyborg fight and give the math somewhere to hide? Does Papoose sign those divorce papers before or after the next diss track drops? Does the next award show end with another robbery press conference from the cheap seats? Drop your take in the comments and be specific, because we all know y'all just hating is not an answer, it's a surrender flag. Is Claressa Shields the most disrespected champion in boxing, or the most online? Is the $2 million cyborg offer the fight that saves the legacy, or the fight she keeps avoiding while calling everyone else scary? And the real question, if you're the self-proclaimed greatest woman of all time, why does the greatest opponent you've faced this year have 11 followers and an anime profile picture? Let me know where you stand, and if you made it this far, you already know the algorithm needs you. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next comment section meltdown isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it happens, we'll be right here with the receipts, the paperwork, and the calculator. And to the loyal defenders already typing, before you press send, answer one thing honestly. Name a single comment section war she's ever won. We'll wait. The comment section is open, the calculator is charged, and the paperwork is public. I'm out.